Hi, Jonah. I wanted to start off by saying thank you. You had a lot of great ideas within your essay, and I really appreciated getting to read somebody else's paper that had similar ideas to what I came across when reading the essay about Emerson and James. So I really appreciate that. I wanted to start off with your idea that the creator is separate from God, that idea that was presented by Emerson. I totally agree with you. I think it allows me to see that the creator of our earth did not intend for all of the evil that we know now in our world to be put there. It's nicer to know that it's not. They're not necessarily cohesive. Those two ideas of a creator and a God is that like your spirituality can be different from what created you, making your spirituality separate from all of the evil that is put into this world because they're not necessarily the same type of thing. So I appreciated getting to read that. Another idea that you presented within your essay that was similar to what I presented within my response with this idea about suffering and how it relates to the ideas that are presented by a lot of philosophers. I definitely think that that's kind of a reoccurring theme, like you mentioned, is that a lot of philosophers had to deal with a lot of like the craziest thing that you could ever think possible happening to them, and because of that they were able to come to such profound ideas. And I think it always made me ask, like, why does suffering allow for individuals to come to these profound ideas? And what I've come to the conclusion that it allows people to be more vulnerable within their studies, and it makes people more raw and real because they have experienced the worst possible thing that they could think could happen to them. So how can the universe be real if these bad things keep happening to them, and they're looking for some type of explanation as to what's going on. But I'd ask you, do you think that suffering allows for individuals to be more vulnerable, and if so, do you think that that's what led to their more profound thoughts? Because I know that's something I came to, but I wonder that since you had similar ideas to mine, if you would agree with that. I also definitely focused a lot within my response, similar to you, on this idea of karma. What I was able to come to is this idea that every action has an equal opposite reaction. Kind of this idea that every single thing you do has some type of reaction, some type of punishment, not necessarily a bad one, but it has a some type of action that comes out of it. I really liked your example of gay people go to hell, because it's this idea of condemning somebody for being bad, but in doing so you're condemning yourself because you've put forward this really strong opinion that is not necessarily true, because there's really no truth in anything because it's all based on opinion. And yeah, I thought that was cool that you mentioned that, because it's definitely something I mentioned as well. I definitely agree with your idea about finding a soul, and how a soul is a very individual experience. I often find myself asking, what is a soul? Because is it the things that make up a person? Is it a person that makes up the soul? Is it, I don't know. It's just a very complex idea, and I think that a lot of my soul comes from the things that I'm passionate about, but it might be different. It's different for every individual, so I really appreciated you bringing up that idea, because I hadn't really touched on it within my response, so it was nice to take some other ideas presented by Emerson. Another thing I definitely agree with you is this idea of how we can claim to know what our creator agrees or disagrees with, because or our creator is saying a certain thing, because nobody has ever had any type of interaction with that person. It's all based on individual agenda, like you said, is that somebody will say that somebody else's idea is bad because this higher power is giving them this idea that, oh my gosh, that's not what's correct. But it's kind of like it's all based on that individual idea of something not being right. And I guess that a lot of people, like you said within your essay, they apply it to their religion, is that it's this idea that this higher power is giving them the ability to say that something's wrong, and the way that they validate it is saying that the higher power has given them the opportunity to say that. So I thought it was interesting that you presented that, because I definitely agree with you, is that a lot of like really broad claims are based off of this reasoning that the creator has said that it's that way, but you can't really validate that because none of us have had an actual interaction with a creator or a god. I also liked how you mentioned this idea of how embracing yourself, and I definitely think that it's really important to embrace yourself and your beliefs regardless of outside factors. I know for me it's been definitely a journey to stop really caring what other people think and do things for myself, but it's kind of fun to see it within other people's essays as well as within the Dr. Provost's essays, to see that it's kind of a universal thing that people should be learning to do. So I appreciate you mentioning that within your essay. Also, the idea about James, in order to be free, we have to acknowledge that we are free. That, for me, like, I don't know about you, but for me, that was such a crazy thing to think about, is it's kind of like, if I just think it, I'll feel it. You know, it's just, I don't know. It's like freedom seems like such a broad thing, but once you accept that you are free, you feel more free. And I don't know. I just think it's a really cool idea. I didn't mention it with my essay, so I appreciated getting to read your ideas about it. But it's just a very profound idea that seems simple, but has so many layers that go towards it. And I just think it's really cool. I definitely agree with your idea that rich people are not acting now completely in wanting honor and respect. Is that, like, I mean, you see rich people today like Jeff Bezos and Epstein and Donald Trump even, it's just these people that are utilizing their wealth to gain power. And it's really interesting to see that so long ago is this idea of honor and respect coming from wealth, but now it's completely shifted to where it's just greed and power is all that they can focus on. And so I just think it's really interesting that, how much, at least a lot of the ideas presented within philosophy, I think have carried over to modern times, but that was one that just like you mentioned, it's just totally not even true anymore. It's just completely different than what they had expected. I also thought your ideas about how within the video, the idea presented that democracy is limiting. I related that to this idea that there's only two real choices in our bipartisan political era. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but I thought that was interesting because it's like there's really no way to get everything that you want because you only have two real choices to choose from. And so democracy is limiting your idea of freedom because you're not able to freely choose who you want because you only have two real choices. Anyways, I really appreciated reading your response. You had a lot of great ideas that were similar to my response. So thanks.